The big risk is trying to be premium in a category that doesn't like premium.
You know, our dad used to always say, cheap shit sells.
Yeah.
And then the first opportunity, gone and made something not cheap.
In real life, events are really important. Like getting your customer in front of you, having your drink at a party, you know, it's such a nice experience to bring the brand and the consumer together.
Yeah, and we did a Lab 54 house party. Louis volunteered his flat for that.
No way.
And I don't think I've ever seen him so stressed. Like, I think the biggest misconception that we had was our product is nice, people will then buy it. Getting that first wholesale listing, which I mean is crazy now, like that we actually managed to do that. But that was a year and a half of complete and utter persistence. The first day I sold into 10 farm shops. I literally went around in my car with boxes in the boot.
I think we made over £1,000.
Yeah,
right?
literally.
It's so easy.
It was like, this is simple. It wasn't a realistic view of how easy it was to sell, but it was a realistic view of if I go somewhere and I sample it with someone, they are going to think it's a good product. Going out cold into a bar, into a venue, you might meet the owner of 20 different sites, and then suddenly it's like, because you've met him, he cares much more about what you're doing, and those opportunities come, which you will never get that opportunity if you're emailing that same guy. He's never going to give a shit.
Well, I think a lot of people like us, you kind of go into it not realising the cost of running an alcohol brand.
Yeah.
It gets expensive very quickly.
In every single podcast I always do, the like same kind of sentence comes up, but it's like how naivety at the start is like your total superpower. Because if you knew all this, would you have done it?
I reckon we still probably would have done.
Okay.
I just think...
No, we wouldn't.
I think we would.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to a special sponsor, Sam Lawrence Recruitment. We all know that finding the right people or the right job can feel really overwhelming, and that's exactly where Sam comes in. He really just gets it. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. He takes the time to understand you and exactly what you're looking for, whether you're building a team or taking that next career leap. So definitely get in touch. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Charlie is a 3-time founding member of Startup Brands, taking each from 0 to 1 million within 18 months. Across different categories, channels and countries, including launching operations in the US and Australia. He is now the founder of Plug-in Brands, an award-winning outsourced FMCG sales agency working with the fast-growth food and drink brands, and Dive-In Agency, a TikTok shop agency helping brands turn social commerce into real revenue. With a background in go-to-market strategy, brand development and distribution through retail and wholesale channels, there isn't anyone better placed to help you supercharge your brand. Charlie and the Plug-in Brands team work with a host of brands, including Moju, Muller, Clipper Tea, Who Gives a Crap, and Lovecorn. So if you're in need of an extra pair of hands to really step on your growth this year, Charlie is the guy you need to be in touch with. Getting to Grow is also brought to you by the Coconut Collab. And full disclosure, as I'm sure most of you are aware, I work there, so I know how much love goes into everything that we make. We're all about creating delicious, dairy-free, plant-based treats that do not compromise on taste. From our creamy yogurts to our indulgent desserts, everything's made with coconuts and a whole lot of care. If you're looking for something naturally good but seriously tasty, and my favourite is just our natural coconut yogurt, I have it most mornings with granola and lots of honey. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love it. Welcome back to another episode of Getting to Grow. On this week's episode, we have Louise and Bruce, the founders of Sly Dog Rum. So, welcome to the show.
Hello Zoe, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming. The really long travels you've done this morning from Balham and Battersea all the way up to Clapham. So tell me firstly how you guys are connected and how you know each other, and then how the idea came about.
Well, we are brothers, so we've known each other for a very long time, and obviously spent lots of time over lockdown discussing all sorts of different ideas about what we wanted to do. But it was entirely Louis' idea to start a rum company. I was coding, doing all sorts of stuff that I didn't really like, which was fine when everyone was in an office and I could sort of enjoy that bit. But then having to do it in a bedroom by myself was not that fun. And Louis had been working on his little idea, which essentially meant lots of rum samples being shared out amongst us.
So where were you in lockdown?
Back at Mum's house in Dorset.
Oh, nice. Whereabouts?
So like near Sherborne.
Okay, I went to Bournemouth University, so I was wondering if it was like around there.
Other end of Dorset.
Other end of Dorset.
Countryside Dorset.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the idea for a rum company a little bit before.
To be fair, I did. I was working on it before. The whole idea for Sly Dog Rum comes from. We would get me and my mates would always go out. We'd always be drinking spiced rum.
Yeah.
And the options, we were kind of happy with the Captain Morgans at the time. And then if there was an occasion or something that was a bit more, a bit more reason to celebrate. There was nothing that sort of filled the gap of going a bit more, a bit more of an occasion, a bit more premium. And it was we'd always get served. If we wanted something like on the rum list, it would always be something like a traditional aged, not basically a spice rum, which is what with the flavours we were all wanting. So we were just like, why is there no one filling the gap between, there's Captain Morgan's and a few other cheap house pours, but there wasn't something that was giving a similar flavour profile, but on a more premium scale. So that's kind of where I started going to work, did research on the whole market. Basically, I was actually looking at the spreadsheet yesterday that I made of every single thing that was in existence, like what the story was, what formats they sold it in, and kind of just did a whole overview on what everything. And I also couldn't believe how many of them were like, it was all pirates, it was all cliches, made up stories, and I was like, it was just crazy to me that it was in the spirits world.
Yeah.
Made up stories. We always discuss, and it's like in all the other kind of other consumer goods, like made up stories is not a thing. It's like when it comes to spirits, and especially rum, it's just like these made up fantasy stories that think that's going to like connect with people. So I think that was where from the beginning it was like, this is going to be against all the cliches, something that actually, I feel like, because I was not a rum connoisseur, so if it was resonating with me and my friends who are also not rum connoisseurs, and I feel like it's got a better chance of resonating with the rest of the population.
And also, if there's a fake story, that's a really hard sell. Like, because when you're in those meetings, you're so passionate because it comes from a story and it's a real story. So I don't know how these big brands have actually done it then. It's really not what small FMCG is all about.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it almost came down to this idea of like at a trade show, you wanted to be able to tell some story to someone where they'd go, oh, that's quite cool. But it just seemed, those stories just seemed to be a reason behind a name.
Yeah.
That is just something to talk about. But at the start, so many people were having this idea, it's like, you need to have a brand story, And it's almost like they expected us to say that we were in like the shed in the back garden, messing around with, like flavours and all this kind of stuff, and we suddenly came up with this thing. And it's like, no, obviously it didn't happen like that. We were working with really good people who knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And we were obviously the ones telling them what to do, but there wasn't some mad hat story as to why it happened. But I think all of the reasonably established brands almost backdate their brand story to come up with some form of marketing later on. And it just gives them something to talk about. But like Louis said, you don't get that with other consumer goods. It's like the brand story for most things these days is the consumer. Yeah, it's not some made up story to connect with the consumer. It is the consumer. This is when you will use this product. This is how you'll feel when you're using it. It's that, like a Gymshark kind of thing. It's like there's no weird brand story as to some guy in the past who decided he needed to. It's just not there. It's just, this is the kind of person who is going to enjoy using our product, and they're going to feel good when they use it.
And this is the niche that I'm filling.
Yeah.
So why, spiced rum over non-spiced rum?
I just feel like that is when my market research for starting doing it was friends and people I ever hang out with, and to be honest, in the people I hang out with, I think people consider, if they ask to name a rum, they're going to go for a Captain Morgan's, even a Kraken. Like, I feel like spice rum is the one that is driving the growth in the rum category, and I just think it's the most exciting. There's so many different sort of variations of flavors. Like when I was trying all the different ones, it's like you can go for some that are really clovey and quite medicinal, and then all the way to the ones that are overly sweet. And I just feel like it's the most exciting kind of category. Whereas as much as we do love rum and traditional rum, I think that is I just think spice rum's got the oomph to do something different with it.
And Sly Dog, the name, I mean, I can kind of understand why it's called that, but give us the kind of like brand. Where did the name come from?
Well, it was about like not doing it the same as other people. It's like almost a bit like a bit sneaky. It also does sound like a good... What I said, it sounds like something that already existed, but it didn't. But it does play out in this idea of, no, we're not going to go with the stupid brand story.
Yeah.
We're going to do it slightly differently. I mean, since then I've gone back. It's a dark horse, but more fun, is what I will whip out to people when I'm trying to make something sound clever. But really it was about not doing things in the same way that everybody else was. Not going along the same lines as... Like most drinks brands are started by someone who already works in the industry. Yeah. And they're so then affected by all the stuff that they know about that particular sector, about that particular category, all of this sort of stuff. Whereas we weren't like, we thought people aren't going to necessarily care about the wood of the cask that it's aged in, because as drinkers of spiced rum, we did not care about that. We cared just about what it tasted like. So in that way, we weren't going to do the same things that other people. We weren't going to focus on the same things as other people. Doing it differently, being a bit sly.
The Sly Dogs.
Come on.
And in the early days when you were kind of finalising your concept and tasting it, where were you getting all the samples from? Because I mean, also around alcohol, right? There must be more regulations than being I'm making a potato chip brand. There must be some more basically harder to kind of bring product to market.
Yeah, I think I was actually looking over all my emails, which I haven't done forever, is all the emails when I first was trying, and it's quite funny to look, and I was like, I want to make a rum, and then see the emails where I'm like, I have no idea where do I get rum from, and all these different people trying to connect me to where I but in the end, enough different people. Then the thing is that if you ask people for help, there's always people people are willing to help. Yeah. So kind of over a period of about a month, I kind of got pointed in the right direction of where do you actually get rum from, and suppliers and that kind of thing. And then in terms of actually creating the recipe, he's the guy I love so much.
Okay.
He's
shout out,
but not too much of a shout out, because I don't want anyone else getting any ideas.
Okay, so we'll beep all this out then. Yeah. Shout out to beep.
Honestly, with our two products as well, I couldn't, and even our new RTD can as well, that if Darren's not doing it, then I but so basically worked with him kind of during lockdown as well, so there wasn't a lot of going to work with him. It was a lot of sending things back and forth basically, which worked out quite well because it was lockdown. It was our family, kind of the extended older family as well, and was able to get feedback on different flavors, try all the other things that are out there as well. And I think what is also quite good with how that happened is my family, Bruce included, and my extended family, our older family, our granny and stuff, that was staying with us. They're not rum drinkers; they don't know anything about it. And I think what we were trying to do with Sly Dog is give it sort of flavors that are of just a normal person that doesn't know much about it. Yeah. Just not trying to be this is, you have to have drunk rum for 5 years to really understand what we're trying to do here. It's just really good quality and of a palate of just normal people basically. And I think that was good to get the kind of feedback from people, our normal family basically, on what taste is good. So Darren would basically send samples to us. We'd all sit around with the sheets of paper, and they'd all have to give me their feedback on what they thought of the different flavours, and kind of then mix it with all different things. It was kind of fun. It was something quite good to do during lockdown, to be honest.
Although I get hesitant telling people it was a lockdown project, because at the time it felt like everybody was having their silly little project. Yeah. But it was Louis' idea beforehand, and I'll always say to people, it's no, that lockdown was literally just when the work got done. It was a convenient time to do it all. But yeah, having everybody there to sort of be involved in the whole thing, it was really nice.
Are you a big family then?
Yes, it's slightly smaller now due to people passing away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but it was good. I mean, there were 7 of us at Mum's house in Dorset.
Okay, yeah, no, that is quite big. There was 3 of us in lockdown, so that's 7. Fun though, right? Lots going on. There's no time to be bored.
Well, I still had another job that I hated, so I was desperate.
This was before I persuaded Bruce to
join the gang.
Exactly, but by that point,
he was just one of the tasters.
But obviously, I was going to want to join because that was the only bit of my day that I wasn't absolutely despising. Yeah. But by the end of lockdown, we had a pretty good idea of the direction it was going. So it was September 2020 that I quit my job to do this properly, and then March 2021 we properly launched it. We had 10,000 bottles.
Wow.
Yeah.
And growing up, were you guys like entrepreneurial? Because I think there's a lot of like entrepreneurs. I think they definitely think differently. You know, you're more up for taking risk because the average person, everybody would be an entrepreneur, but most people like sustainability in their job. They like a 9 to 5. They don't like stepping out the box. Whereas I think entrepreneurs, they think very differently. Their brain works differently. Is that something that was innately in you as kids?
Well, I mean, there was a certain amount of, I wouldn't say expectation. Like, our family had lots of entrepreneurs in it.
Okay.
Obviously, as you're growing up, you don't know what that word means.
Yeah.
You don't think it's anything. You just think, oh, they run businesses and they do these different kind of things. So I think it was definitely always in the back of my mind. But I don't know. I expected, like, you go to school, you go to uni, and then you get a job. Like, I was very much just on that normal track, but wasn't really feeling it. I think I did a physics degree and then took a job in data engineering and was just trying to compete with myself almost, but that doesn't really work very well when you don't really enjoy what you're doing. Like, I wasn't even very good at coding. I was just good enough to make people not think I should lose my job.
Yes.
But I could, like, I don't know, it just wasn't satisfying.
Yeah.
And obviously Louis is clearly the more entrepreneurial of the two of us, given that he had the idea.
But I think that was just because I didn't enjoy working for other people.
Yeah.
Which I just think does come from the way we grew up, which was like like everyone in our family was doing stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that was just kind of what we grew up thinking. That's what everyone that's just how you do it, basically.
Yeah, it was almost like summer holidays. Like, you get like 8 weeks off, and it's like, and Dad's with you for the whole holiday. And in my head, that's what everyone gets to do in the summer holidays, even when you've got a job.
Yeah.
But obviously you don't, and I got there and I was like, what the hell? This is not what I expected. So yeah, I mean, there definitely it wasn't like there was pressure to do it. It's not like anyone was angling for it, but I think maybe a little bit of self-imposed pressure that was like, well, they've done it, and like a level above them, they've done it. We need to do our thing as well. But yeah, I'm just glad that Louis had quite a good idea.
Very helpful. The OG Sly Dog. I think as well, there's so much to be said in it when, like, what you want out of life. I think, like, as I've got older, I've realised, like, really how short it is. And you definitely don't think like that as a child. You just do your day-to-day, come home, mum's made you supper, you go to school. And, you don't want to be... I want to not, like, it's hard because there's so much to be said in having a business and being, like, remembered and, that's also, you want to like build for the future, but living in the now as an entrepreneur is really hard because I think you're always thinking about like, right, well, this is the strategy in 5 years, we need to be here because we need to tick that box. How do you deal with the like day-to-day running of the business, because it is so exciting? You're small, you're agile, you can move quicker than the big guys can in the category, but also looking at your like long term, okay, well, this is actually how we need to implement the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly... To start with, it's very easy to just focus on what's going on that day. And almost like with a lot of the people we sell to, like, our big thing is, if you ask us to do something for you this evening, we will come up with something for you this evening. So, whether that's, pubs, like the Regent down in Balham, it's like they came to us and they were like, we need this by this weekend, and then we can organise everything and we're doing it. So having to shift into a more long-term view is it's not difficult, but it's something that needs to happen. Otherwise, you will end up miles away from where you should be because you've said yes to too many of the slightly wrong things. I mean, it's always spoken about. It's I don't think we shy away from that sort of thing, but I mean, we're constantly talking to each other.
Yeah.
So it's like probably our best phone calls are at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
When we've sat opposite each other all day and then got sick of each other and then gone home and then thought, actually, that'd be really good. But in terms of like implementing it all, it's like taking it slowly, not being too rash with the big decisions. I mean, for a very long time, we had one SKU, and then it was a big decision to go for a second one. And then the moment you start doing that, everyone's like, oh, what's coming next? We're doing all this. It's like, we're taking that side of it slow. Big decision to decide to put it in a can as well, because fundamentally, we're not a can company. We don't want to become a can company. Yeah. We want to use cans to show off our rum, which is in our cans, this kind of thing. We're not trying to own a specific cocktail, but we're just trying to demonstrate the best way of drinking it. But it's still that that was a tough one to decide. Do we actually go and do that?
Because RTD is so crowded, isn't it? Like you go to all the supermarkets, the corner shops, and you're like, now with also like these buzzballs that have just come out of nowhere, like what is that?
And the big sips now. The
Yeah.
American one that's suddenly like, buzzballs doing well, so
everything's just like it's suddenly all there. And it's so crowded. I think like I get like, even I go to the aisle and I work in FMCG and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you even pick up here? Like there's so many now. So I can understand why cans, but I think these are really good opportunities for like airlines and like trains as well, because then when they can't have the range that's in a corner shop. So when you get that audience where, you know, they have no choice, you have a bit of a monopoly, they're really good there.
Yeah, I do think that like lots of places you would expect that would have had a bartender and made cocktails, even like Wagamama's and stuff like that. It's like now they just have cans, and I just think that a big part of it for us was sampling as well. Like it's quite hard to sample somewhere that is not just stood at a trade show stand.
Yeah.
When you've got like a bottle of rum, like it's
because you're giving out like little shots all the time.
Like, what are you doing? Like you can't really
which is
stand
not even
somewhere.
how anyone would really drink it.
Yeah, it's so true.
No one's buying a bottle of rum to drink shots of rum.
Yeah.
They're going to mix it with stuff.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
Like, what are they going to mix it with? So in the end, our ideal way of sampling it is to be stood there with a full bar and the ability to make anyone a drink, which is never going to happen. So that way, having a can that we can just sort of turn up to stuff and hand out to people, and they can actually experience it how they would do if they were to buy a bottle.
Yeah.
Just the main idea.
And with what was your strategy in terms of like selling? Was it so you had what did you say? How many bottles did you have?
10,000 to start with.
You had 10,000 as your like first kind of
production
run. That is quite a lot.
Yeah.
With a best before date of what was the kind of show?
No, they don't have.
Yeah.
There's no one.
That's
of
the
course,
best thing about doing.
alcohol.
I think that's the.
That was why it wasn't a worry.
Because it has a lifetime BBD.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like, right, we're going in vans, we're going around to like kind of nice deli, farm shops, etc.
Everything was shut on the day we launched.
Yeah. There was no, like all the bars were shut.
Oh, was it 20?
It was still lockdown.
2021,
They did
lockdown.
lockdown 2021.
God, it just never ended, does it?
No, exactly. But like, so we launched at that point, and it was all D2C online.
Yes.
As basically a way of people having seen it before we then went and tried to sell it to people.
And did you have trouble with it being D2C initially? Because obviously you might not have tested sending big bottles in the post, that you had smashes.
We did. No, it was actually.
It was more the logistics of which delivery partner to use and trying to get the Royal Mail guy to turn up every day and not having enough bottles on that day. And then, things like that we obviously had not worked out.
Also, it was a really good time for D2C. When we first launched, I was like, oh my God, if that's all that happens in like, so many orders every day because everyone was just at home ordering.
Yeah.
And we were like, if that's what just happens every day there, then everything else we do is going to be so much easier because we just got all those happening in the background. Almost like when you first launch and you make enough noise, there's a lot of like new people that want to come and try your first bottle, and then like all your people that know you and that kind of thing. So it was like the first few months online, it was like, well, if we've just got that as like a standard, then everything else we do is, and then obviously nowadays it's not quite as juicy. You have to work a lot harder and you have to advertise a lot more to get people to order online because I don't know, people buying their rum out and about more these days on Amazon.
And also we're not as home anywhere near as much as we were, right?
Yeah.
So it was all shut the day you launched, but D2C was kind of like the booming part.
That was
at
basically
the time.
what it was when we first started, and then going around Dorset to all the places that sell.
I think once everything started to open up again, there were, literally we're living in Dorset at the time, and there are so many farm shops around Dorset, and as people came out of lockdown, those places were packed with people.
Yeah, they were actually deceivingly.
Even now, farm shops is like a dark horse of like a.
Sorry,
not farm garden centres.
Yeah, the similar style thing. But in Dorset, there's lots of independent ones who they were selling out of stuff every day. So someone turns up and says, "Would you like to buy this box of rum? I live down the road." Of course they do. Get it in.
Yeah.
And then be ringing you up next week and saying, "Can we get another box?"
I think I remember that you went
out. The first
and
day, I sold into 10 farm shops. I literally went around in my car with boxes in the boot.
I think we made over £1,000.
Yeah,
right? This is so easy.
It was like, this is simple. But it wasn't a realistic view of how easy it was to sell, but it was a realistic view of, like, if I go somewhere and I sample it with someone, they are going to think it's a good product. Yeah, we're not turning up with something that no one thinks is going to sell. They were more willing to to risk putting new brands on the shelf, which is what's died down now. But in terms of the effect that the product had on people, on buyers, essentially, be it a buyer at a small farm shop, they still had to think, is that going to sell if it goes on my shelf? And the response from that was really good. But yeah, to start with, it was just all of these.
It was quite fun back then as well.
Yeah,
because it was like
the good old days.
Yeah, well, it was just like, it was kind of carefree, and it was all like, we didn't even know how serious of a thing this was going to be, and it was like, obviously we had intentions of it being serious, but it just felt kind of free, and you were just so excited if you made like even just a few sales. Now it's like, it's always like, where's the next one? Where's the next one?
Yeah.
It just becomes a little bit more stressful. The whole thing.
And also, like every year, it gets more crowded, right? Like new brands into the category.
To be fair, it was a really exciting time for Spice Rum. Just like, there was so many startups. Lots of them have sadly like not doing it anymore. But I think that's more of just like the climate of alcohol brands. But it was just like, there were so many popping up and all like different ideas, and it just felt like this was like going to be the sort of the burst of rum that everyone was sort of talking about that might happen after gin.
And like trade shows that you go to, like BBC Good Food Show. There was just so many people all doing well, all selling all these bottles of this really cool, innovative, different stuff. So yeah, it really felt at that point like, we've done this at the right time. We've got in at the right time before this sort of explodes. Yeah. But it has not gone like that. They most of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah. 93% of businesses fail in their first year, right? So. Yeah,
I think at that point probably maybe like most of the brands we knew made it to 2 years, which then you start thinking, these are all brilliant, and then all of a sudden you sort of.
Well, I think a lot of people like us, you kind of go into it not realising the cost of running an alcohol brand, just the upfront costs of duty and all these kind of things. There's just so many. It gets expensive very quickly.
Yeah, but actually in every single podcast I always do, the like same kind of sentence comes up, but it's like how naivety at the start is like your total superpower. Because if you knew all this, would you have done it?
I reckon we still probably would have done. I just think...
No, we wouldn't.
I think we would.
I think it was fun, but I was just like, I think maybe there's safer, like more easy on the cash flow categories to get involved.
But that's what I mean.
We've picked possibly the most taxed category, unless we say cigarettes or something.
You can't even have any packaging.
That was our other idea, exactly.
So tell me about like the failures at the start. Well, not failures, like big mistakes that you did that you then like learned from, that if someone was listening to this thinking, you would like maybe like you would warn them about this certain type of thing that you ended up in.
I think the biggest misconception that we had was our product is nice, people will then buy it. And then you start taking it to... So when initially all this like D2C and independent retail, that's all we were really doing. But we obviously understood that we wanted to sell to pubs, but we sort of didn't understand that process. We had people who we sort of started to know. Getting that first wholesale listing was... Which was? It was LWC.
Okay.
First national wholesale listing. Which, I mean, it's crazy now, like that we actually managed to do that. But that was a year and a half of complete and utter persistence trying to get that listing. We just assumed if a pub bought through LWC and they said to LWC, we want to buy this rum, they would go, okay, let's stick it in. And we were completely naive about the fact that that's not how it works. And you'd have to have a minimum of 20 sites already ordering, who then want to all of this sort of stuff. And definitely at the start, I can remember thinking, this is ridiculous. Like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? The longer I've done it, the more I understand. Of course they need to do that, yeah? Because otherwise, they'd be sticking a new product in every week because one person wanted it, one bar wanted to put it in one cocktail, whatever. And
their warehouse would be like the size of England.
Precisely. And also, I mean, they can even get stuck with things where they've got plenty of potential listings, and then suddenly the guy doesn't really want to do it anymore, they run out of money, or something like this. That means they've now got 600 bottles that they can't sell because the business isn't running anymore. They need to do something with that stock. Like, there are lots of complaints that people have about, how hard it is to get listed in a wholesaler, all of this, but it's like, I mean, I'm quite happy to post-date my complaints because we are now listed in all the wholesalers.
Yeah.
But like, I do not think it is a bad thing that it is that hard to get listed in those wholesalers. Yeah, because that was the work that we did that actually meant when we got listed, it didn't just sit there, and it was being taken into places, and it meant that the wholesalers themselves could sort of trust that we were a brand worth working with. They've got limited time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd much rather be selling loads of Diageo products and probably getting a nice fat bit on the side from them, but we have to prove to them that we're the one worth suggesting to people that is not the one that they've seen before. But the work required to get there was necessary, even though it was annoying.
The end account pull through is something that's like absolutely massive. Like I work with my day job at Coconut, like one of my biggest accounts in like out of home, so like non-grocery is Breaks. And Breaks is a really big account for us. I've got a really good relationship with like my buyer. He's lovely, Tom. And shout out to Tom. And he, you know, at the start it was very like I was like you. I was incredibly naive, and I just assumed like, oh well, I'll have one call and they'll just list my yogurt. Like, why would they not? And then obviously very quickly realised that like you have to show like a lot of category data and you have to like prove your space and stuff. And I think because I'm a commodity in the sense of like it's yogurt, it was there's not a lot of space for like too many of the same type of things in this space in dairy, because we're chilled, with shelf life, etc. There's a lot more kind of stuff going on than maybe there is like with alcohol in terms of like the shelf buy, because obviously mine would run out of life a lot quicker than yours does. And yeah, I remember the day I got the listing and then I went in and we were like, they were kind of calling me up about like waste, and I was like, oh well, why is it not being pulled through? And then I realised, that's like where I have to now like absolutely graft my arse off to like ensure that people are like pulling through and using it.
Just becoming available doesn't actually result in
and requires like a lot of time. It's door knocking, like it's back to that field sales, like right, calling up people, cold calling, right, and trying to like figure out everything you know about Breaks, like who the end customer is, because obviously they can't share with you.
They didn't even tell you.
No, they
used to be able to.
Yeah,
but they're not
now they
anymore.
can't. GDPR, etc. So like I'm doing like, this is a really good hack anyway, anyone listening. What I do, and you guys might do it, but as I'll go on Breaks is like Instagram and I look at tab pics. And all the tag pics are generally like bars and restaurants that obviously use Breaks as a route to market, and DM like every single one. Obviously with like, you know, there are some that I'm like probably not really my audience, but you know, within reason, and that's actually ended up in quite a few listings.
Okay.
So like that's something that I've done to like help, because like, you don't know.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, the amount of time spent out on foot just working out who someone's wholesaler is, just to start with.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could have a really good conversation with someone and say, who do you buy through? Oh, so-and-so. It's like, oh, well, hopefully in a year's time you might be able to buy us because we're not listed with them now.
Yeah, but then you make all that list of, don't you? You have your CLF, whatever your wholesale zone, right, all these guys want to buy. And then when you're at like the 50 kind of maybe touch points, you can go to the buyer and say, look, I have all these guys that are interested. I'm going to do the back end work. I'll pull it through. Like, yeah, it's this whole fat chicken and egg.
Yeah, and like a lot of ours is, we can take on the risk of, or take on almost like the logistics of delivering direct to a venue before we're in their wholesaler, which is, I mean, it almost like we can't afford to do that, or having to deliver it. That is what a wholesaler does.
Yeah.
And we're having to like drive stuff across London and do this kind of stuff. But if you can go to a wholesaler and say, these 10 sites already buy it off us at the same price that you sell it, so why don't you just do it, and then you can get £3 for each bottle.
Yeah.
We're quite happy for that, because it's costing us more than £3 a bottle to spend the time and effort to get it there. But yeah, just a lot of work.
Yeah. And really interesting though, because actually that time on foot is really key, because you're then speaking to the customer and you're getting feedback.
I don't do that. Bruce does that.
You're behind the scenes guy.
Weirdly, even though I don't know, there's some kind of, when you've made it, I think if you gave me something else to go in and sell, like that, one of those products in your kitchen, I could probably do quite a good job. But the minute it's my thing, I just have this like, I don't even know what it is. It's like a block that I like. The last thing I want to do is go in and pitch my own product to
That's
them.
why you have your yin and yang though in business, right? You need that.
I don't know if you enjoy it loads, but weirdly, because you think you're like proud of it and you'd want to like get everyone excited.
No, but I mean, I like the idea that a cold conversation could be the best conversation I have that day, because it could be rubbish, could be great, but it's like, that could be I could meet anyone with that conversation or something like that. I can put something, they could absolutely love it. If I'm going into it already knowing I've got the meeting, I sort of already know there are really two outcomes. They're a yes or a no. And it's like, going out cold into a bar, into a venue, you might meet the owner of 20 different sites, and then suddenly it's like, because you've met him, he cares much more about what you're doing, and those opportunities come, which you will never get that opportunity if you're emailing that same guy. He's never going to give a shit, you know. It's being seen, it's
people
being
by
out about.
people.
Well, 100%.
Yeah, and like that's just been, again, it just doesn't, it never, if it's a no, okay, fine, but at least you've met me, and like that's, you know, I've still had that relationship with you, but ultimately, like, if you can build a relationship with someone, like that's basically what sales is, isn't it? It's all relationship building.
Entirely.
What would you say was one of like the riskiest moves you made early on? Was it like, is it all self-funded? Did you guys get investment? Did you take on investment? Did you give a bit of business away? Like anything about that?
Well, it was.
Yeah, it was self-funded.
I didn't. Yeah.
Which we probably wouldn't have done quite so much of.
Okay.
Now that we realise people are very keen to invest in drinks brands that are doing well, we probably wouldn't have taken as much risk at the start. But we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We almost thought more skin in the game is better. And I don't think it plays against us that much. It is just, you know, there's money that we've put into this that we don't get back unless it works.
Yeah.
Rather than a risk that someone else has taken because they trust us.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we're now sort of doing both.
Yeah.
But it was a while before we were spending anyone else's money other than our own. And that makes you think about each thing in a completely different way.
Absolutely. When you're spending your cash.
I think the problem was it meant we were too quickly looking for profit, which is, you know, it sounds like that's not a bad thing, but it's like, no, what we need is volume. Because unless we've got volume, we're going to be paying the most we can ever pay for our product when we're producing it, and then the price is never going to come down. Like,
the economies of scale. Yeah.
Like we never had access to those economies of scale before. Now that we are able to raise money and, you know, have these conversations with people who love what we're doing and think, yeah, I'll put some money in, of course I will. People love the idea of owning part of a drinks brand far more than other things. They think that's very cool. But yeah, it was definitely, looking back, it was a big risk to put that money in ourselves. We didn't think that was the big risk. We thought, you know, Louis' thing is always, the big risk is trying to be premium in a category that doesn't like premium.
Well, I just think, our dad used to always say, cheap shit sells. Yeah. And then the first opportunity, gone and made something not cheap. I like that I've chosen something that we're proud of, and everyone that tries it on the main thinks it's good, and we're confident going in. But there is an argument if we just made a sort of cheap shit sales product, we might sort of find it a lot easier, you know, because we do come out expensive in a lot of places, and that was often a barrier to people. But, you know, we don't get many complaints or returns or anything like that. So I don't know which one's better to deal with, is having cheap stuff with loads of complaints or... But
I think the problem, like, especially within drinks, we cannot compete with the economies of scale of a Diageo or a Pernod or a Bacardi. So we're never going to be able to sell something as cheap as they are. Even if we tried to make the cheapest thing we could possibly make, they can still make it a lot cheaper than we can. That's not why we went premium, but it's nice to know that I don't think that was an option, to just go cheap. Yeah, really, because this came from thinking, where is the thing that I want to buy? Yeah, there's no option. There's expensive rum that tastes nothing like what I would want to drink a cheap version of, so I need to make this. That was the reason for it. But in the end, it feels risky to have.
It is possibly, like, it is probably the most expensive way we wanted to taste the best that we could do. So, like, the brief to Darren was not, can you make this within this kind of price? And I think if I did have my time again, I might have looked at the different suppliers and everything, because very thankfully he's got us a different supplier for every single flavour. So when it comes to production, it is always a struggle. But what I literally said to him when I was speaking to him, I was like, I don't really care about much else, just want the best possible thing, the best possible tasty spiced rum. And obviously we did win the world's best spiced rum at the World Rum Awards.
I saw this, massive congrats.
I mean, it was in 2023.
So?
Are we still claiming it?
Yeah.
We haven't actually...
Don't enter it again.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, done. That's right, you one time, what's that sentence? One time, like... Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, carry on.
No, so that was the whole... Winning that is obviously like what the whole thing of what we tried to make the best possible thing we could.
I think it also depends on your business goal as well. Like, do you want to be a mass brand? Like, do you want to be 100% household penetration of rum? Or do you have your consumer in mind that is, right, we are going to only be able to hit these ABC1 consumers that maybe can afford this kind of type of bottle of rum, or is it like you want to be a Guinness of the world? Like what? Yeah, that I think that also plays into it.
Well, I think we're premium, but we're still like on the affordable.
£35 is expensive if you compare it to Captain Morgan's.
Yes.
But not expensive if you compare it to some pretty common gin brands.
Yeah.
Some pretty common vodka brands, this kind of stuff. Like, it's not like crazy expensive. Probably we should be charging more given how much it costs us to make it. But that is, I think, is a fairly reasonable price point for it, given the quality of the liquid that you're getting. The issue is going into a bar or a venue, and when they say how much does it cost, and you say out of wholesale it might cost you 25 quid, and they go for a spiced rum, because they just do not think a spiced rum should cost that much, because they've had Captain Morgan's, Kraken, they've had loads, but
so that's a big barrier when selling into pubs.
Yeah,
and bars. Yeah, I think I do.
That has been a barrier. But when they try it, that barrier starts to fade away a little bit, and there's lots of things that we can do to make it worth their while in other areas, like the commitment that we can put forward towards the venue, to do activations, like social media stuff, all the filming and things that we could do for them, that a big brand is just going to give them a fat check. Now, no one's going to turn down a fat check, but
you're building a community.
Exactly. There has to be some other part of it. Otherwise, how is it ever going to penetrate to people who aren't constantly looking at new spirits brands? They're never going to find it.
So, going on the marketing kind of activation side, you've obviously brought out your RTDs, ready to drinks. Because of that, it's way easier to sample. How's your marketing, I guess, like strategy developed since launching? Like, where do you go? Where could we find you at marketing activation? Is it summer plans? Is it Christmas stuff? Like, where do you guys, how do you plan the year?
Well, I do feel in the 4 years we've been doing it, I think we've probably done most things once. To see, like, sponsoring a festival, Tramlines Festival, so much fun, but just not a good way to spend your money. We're not available anywhere at that time, but thinking that if we go and do a festival, then maybe we might become available, instead of thinking, we do any of the marketing, and we have all these ideas, but a lot of it is kind of only necessary, like it's kind of when we get sort of if there was to be a big grocery listing, then we can start spending it, because at the moment there's no point spending lots of money on marketing that isn't kind of targeted to individual places or on like digital ads and stuff, just because if you saw us at a festival, that Tramlines Festival, the majority of people have probably never seen the brand ever again, which is just a complete waste of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we try and be a little bit more mindful. That was more just like, how cool would it be to do a festival? And it was really fun, but it's definitely not a good way.
But I think so this year our main tactic has been down partnership with other brands, non-spirits brands. So partnering with restaurants, partnering with DJs, this kind of stuff is so much fun. Actually getting to do stuff with people who are doing the same idea sort of thing as you, but in a completely different area.
Yeah.
So the stuff we've done this summer with Ginger Wings, which is Jack Blumenthal's chicken wing restaurant. Okay. And then Famous When Dead Records, which is DJ Cash Only's record label.
Right.
Doing stuff as a three of us.
Yeah.
All summer doing all these different things. It's been so good, because he's like Ginger Wings, they've got people who love their chicken, but he's got no sort of alcohol angle. All they want is to have a drink when they're eating it, and then they've got the DJ there. And it's like, so the three work together perfectly. But that being able to build something across three different groups of people, that essentially you're drawing people in.
It's extra reach from all their different people. Yeah.
Exactly. So stuff like that has been really fun. We did
they have Ginger Wings engagement. It's pretty crazy as well.
Yeah, I know, it's mad. Everyone loves Ginger. I mean, the chicken is great, but the way that they go about it, I sort of feel is quite similar to how we do, which is trying to be completely unpretentious and just very. I mean, flavor focused is a good one, but like really understanding that is all people actually care about at the end of the day, is what it's like to consume that product.
Yeah, how does it taste?
Exactly. That's all that really matters. Yeah. And the stuff that you go around it shouldn't be some sort of fake thing that you've made up to make it sound interesting. And so other like food led. So we did our drunken noodles at Slurp Thai. I was a fan of, which was for World Rum Day, which was literally just putting some rum in their sauce.
Nice.
But like that is, I mean, it's quite an easy, fun thing to do. Where all we've got to do is give them some bottles of rum.
Yeah.
They do their separate little menu, and it's like it just gives all of those people a chance to see us and interact with us in a way that they wouldn't normally have expected.
I also think real life events are really important. Like, there's so much going on at the moment with, like, you know, TikTok Live and but actually, like, getting your customer in front of you, having your drink at a party, you know, it's such a nice experience to bring the brand and the consumer together.
Yeah, and we did a Lab 54 house party, which Louis volunteered his flat for that.
No way.
And I don't think I've ever seen him so stressed. Like some friends of mine left because it was too busy, and Louis was in the Latchmere. Like, he's not.
I basically there was 15 minutes. It was chaos in the flat. Crazy. It was a lot of fun, and like the content was great, and you know it was good to get everyone there and do it with it. But there was complaints from everyone. All the neighbours were unhappy. They're my full-time neighbours. They're not good. Like, everyone else is going to leave, and they're still my neighbours. And the police were coming. And I just knew there was like 20 minutes left, and I just decided if I did this lap around the block, by the time I got back, it was time for everyone to leave. So it was just all a bit much for me. But
that's so funny. So I'm getting very clear personality roles between you guys and how you split your time for the business. So I'm assuming like sales. Yeah. That's definitely your area. You're more the numbers guy.
No, Louis does no numbers. Louis hates numbers.
Okay.
I'm terrible at maths. I really can't do Bruce is he's got a physics degree. He's
so Louis, you're like the idea.
Yeah.
You're like,
I do the fun, like the nice stuff.
Fine, and you're numbers, commercial, and marketing.
Yeah, but Louis is more of the marketing ideas.
Okay, so you're like the creative kind of one. Yeah. You're the more in the like numbers,
sales, commercial. Not that I'm not creative,
but you can be very creative within sales. I love doing all my own decks. Thank you very much. Putting gifts in when needed. So creative.
No, but I do think that. I mean, when we're so small, everything goes through.
Yeah, literally, we're all doing everything.
Yeah, of course.
So there's
not like, like you're CEO, so you don't touch, and or like you're marketing executive, so you can't get involved.
On Monday at 3 p.m.
But there's 4 of us full time now.
Okay. So I was going to ask you about like team. So how have you broadened out the team? How did you hire? Who are the hires?
Currently we've got 4 of us full time. Initially, we used lots of like day rate salespeople. Because they had industry experience and they knew who to talk to. And so Lou is up in the northeast. She's been with us pretty much from the start. But she works 2 days a week for us. Pretty much all of our big like sales that have not come through us directly have been from her. Mm-hmm. We went through several different periods of like using lots of brand ambassadors, like focusing on loads of different areas. And it's all great, it's all good. But in the end, I think we wanted to. Was certainly in the last year, really start focusing on the Sly Dog team, like as in the people who are, because Louis and I spend all day every day thinking about this, and I feel like that benefits us. So if you've got someone working for you 1 day a week, the most you can expect is that they're waking up one night a week, you know, unable to think about anything else. But really, they're not going to be doing that at all. Whereas we wanted to start having that sort of real team feel. So we had first full-time salesperson. Aidan he was at Brixton Brewery before, so he's got really good on-trade experience, and also all of his connections now he's not competing with because he's selling spirits and they're selling beer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of help for us there. He'd worked with Lane Pub Group before, who we just launched with, and that was a big part of getting him in.
Nice.
So that he already knows loads of them, so he can really start driving volume through them. And then Emily as well we've got, and she's like more like creative, like graphic design, social stuff. Okay. So she actually does all of our decks.
Okay.
So,
but there was some few OGs before that as well that need a few shout outs.
Yeah.
Because Emily's very new to the team, but there was some ones before that.
Yeah, I obviously decided just to mention the current team.
No, but
what we like is we've got our track record of where people work once they've left us.
I mean, they've all...
So one's at Budweiser, one's at Diageo, one's at Minor Figures, Campari.
Okay.
So I feel like it's a good little platform.
It's an amazing platform. You're like a graduate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a feeder.
We're an
incubator. You're an incubator. That's
I do think it actually means quite a lot that people, like, when they're going for another job, on their CV it looks like that's like a good thing for them to have done.
Yeah, definitely.
And
also,
they're all doing really well. So
picking up Diageo's years for eventually a sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Years and years away, or however long you guys are in it. What Have you had any issues with like consistency of products? Has that been something that was a struggle of in terms of your production run? You always managed to keep that really consistent, because especially not so much in alcohol, but a lot of sometimes the founders I've spoken to, they've really struggled with the consistency, or they've had issues like Will before with his like fiery ginger. He had no idea that in like 10 weeks time it would explode in the can.
I mean, to be fair, I think spirits is probably the safest one for that.
That's incredibly stable.
It's basically a recipe and just keep making the same recipe, I'd say.
Okay.
And the suppliers are very consistent.
Yeah.
They're, the distilleries are producing a lot of rum every year.
Yeah.
And they're quite happy. They're always going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And flavour wise, like Louis said, we are literally using the best flavours that we can, which makes it quite hard because we've got a different supplier for each one rather than getting them all through the same person. But the consistency from our end is fairly easy to keep hold of. We had a little experiment with a different bottle maker that we're not going to repeat. We're going to go back to the old one because it ended up being so much more expensive because, and it was like 4 months late, all of this stuff. So we're going to go back to
the glass is the biggest problem of the whole process.
Really?
Yeah, like the rum and the flavours and everything else is easy. The glass is literally the pain in my life.
And does it, for the bottle being black, has that got any? I love the branding. Does it have anything to do with like sunlight? Because you know how that can sometimes affect.
Well, no. The only slight one is the bartenders don't know, because they like to do their stock check and see how much is in everything, and they obviously don't know.
Yeah, that's an actual negative.
Gosh, I never even thought about that. You can get a little clear slip in it somewhere. So you guys have you thought about like you need like something that's easily for the bartender to see, because actually that's such a good point. It's like I'd never think
if
that.
you had a slit,
It just looks bad.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
They might prefer it, but like plenty of bars are selling it without.
It's not enough. It's not like
enough demand to make a change.
And it's quite common. There's quite a lot of brands that some form don't. You can't see it.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think one of the things that we always try and like with the whole branding and everything, Sly Dog Rum, so clear. I don't know if you ever look at a back bar. There's the amount of spirits on there that you'd have no idea what even they are, let alone the brand name, what even like genre of spirit they are. And when someone goes to the bar, I feel like on the main, people feel relatively intimidated to like get something out, and like you don't sort of start asking all these questions about what all the different things are. So people would like to kind of stick to what they know, and there's no chance they're going to choose you if they can't even tell what it is back there. So that was one of the things that the brand.
My big thing as well, it's like it's certainly harder these days to do marketing for drinks brands. Like you can't really work on TikTok. They don't like alcohol brands really do much on TikTok.
Course. Which makes sense, really, doesn't it? Like you can't
also,
be like bulk buy today, 50 bottles discount.
I'd love to do a TikTok shop with that and just like that'd be so fun. Just one live stream.
But essentially, in the end, also people these days don't like being advertised to.
Hate it. Do not.
So
if you look at Red Bull's Instagram, there's not one product shop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this man jumping off a cliff. It's like all lifestyle. Like there's no. This is on sale now. Whatever. Nothing.
Exactly. So I mean, obviously we don't have any Sly Dog athletes yet. I don't know what they look like.
We have a rugby team.
We do have a rugby team, but we're not sponsoring. Yeah, that's true actually. We sponsor the London Stags.
Oh, cool.
Rugby team.
Nice. Well, take on Red Bull and get an F1 team.
Well, to be fair,
that was the goal.
When you were asking, it's like I would never say like that's why it's called that, but like everything was. I didn't want to be like we were from Dorset, so I didn't want it to be like a Dorset Rum.
Dorset Rum Company. Or something.
I wanted to feel like a brand that could eventually evolve into so many different things.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
It's not really that's not really a story to tell.
Because also Sly Dog, you could have such a brand extension of that, right? Like Sly Dog's just a name. Like you can move rum across and
That was kind of the decisions we were making when we were doing it. Obviously, when someone asks why is it called that, it's not really a
It's marketable.
Yes, so marketable, and it's cool.
The other thing as well is, given that people are so sort of hesitant to be advertised to, the most sort of accessible time for someone to access them in terms of a spirits brand is in a bar, on a back bar, in a pub, and given like what Louis said about most bottles, you wouldn't even know what was in it. They're wasting their best opportunity to advertise to people. Yeah. So we know if that bottle is on a back bar.
Yeah, it looks cool, stands out.
Even if someone doesn't order it, they will know that they've seen it the next time.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people are wasting the opportunity of being like that. If you see that on a back bar, you know that you've seen it. It makes my job incredibly easy when I'm checking in on places that are supposed to be listing it. I don't even have to go in the room.
Yeah.
I can see that it's there.
Yeah.
So everybody else must be able to see it as well.
Yeah, I love it. Really like it.
There's too much. Well, let's say there's too much. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but like I think so many drinks brands go down this thing of they've worked in the industry for years. It's like you end up producing very similar looking stuff to everybody else, but that just looks completely different. It's much more sort of bold in your face. I think it just means it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of what we'd said when we wanted to do this. It's like, how do we make sure that no one can ignore this?
Yeah.
And there are some very easy ways of doing that, which is having massive letters on your bottle.
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that doesn't look completely
and
ridiculous.
also really unique. Like I don't see any other alcohol brands that have that look of bottle at all. Like it definitely stands out. So what's next? What's like the next for you guys? 3 to 5 year plan, however, 2 years. What's your big bets? What's your like golden ticket retailer as well? If that was something that like, where would you love to be stocked and have your brand?
So basically our big focus this last year has been distribution.
Yeah.
Just making sure that when we grow that team, anybody can get hold of it.
Yeah.
And we have been successful in that. So we've just signed contracts for Food Buy.
Massive.
That's huge.
Yeah,
they
huge.
don't take good people on. So shout out to Matt Sells for.
Do you do Food Buy?
Yeah.
But like for drinks brands like Regency, Compass, Levy, Peppermint.
Yeah.
Like
love those guys. They do nice yogurt volume for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that is.
Levy's great because it's all your Stadia.
Yeah. So there's
We'll chat about that one afterwards.
Yeah.
I do need to know a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll have a chat.
But so really for now, I mean, retail is always going to be a goal. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's an end goal. I don't know if it's a medium goal. Whatever. They don't want a really expensive spice rum at the moment. Retailers don't think that that's going to work yet. So there's no point in us sitting around sending email after email saying, no, honestly, you should see we can do this. We're going to sit back. We're focused on the distribution through wholesale. We know that is now going to take off, or is already taking off. We've got all this stuff. We're focusing on export, then we don't really even need to have to worry about the distribution. So it's like they bought it, they can sell it. In the end, that bottle has to end up on the Sainsbury's and Tesco shelf. It has to. But
it will.
For now,
I think it will.
It doesn't need to for us to feel like we're absolutely going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think eventually, like a supermarket buyer that's in the category is very much aware of what's out there, and they're judging it on what they see about, and like if they don't feel like they've seen it enough, then that's just on us to keep pushing. And when it's ready, they'll put it in. It's not like they don't go around just putting random stuff in just because they think it looks nice.
Yeah,
like they want to
find out where your buyer lives and work out her commute. Sainsbury's head office and stick posters.
But
and be like, I've seen them everywhere. Yeah, have you? Funny that
is a fair enough tactic. What is not a fair enough tactic is just emailing over and over again and then saying, why the hell aren't they replying to me?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to.
Yeah.
You haven't done enough to make them reply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this looking back thinking now we've got loads of replies. We haven't.
Yeah.
But I'm well aware that is because we have not done enough to make them reply.
Yeah.
But we have spoken to it enough to know
we
what we need to do.
Replies,
we know what we need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. All in the pipeline, bubbling away in the background.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's brand awareness through big deals within pub groups. The Food Buy stuff could be massive, so we're really hoping that goes well. But really, we want people to have seen it enough times that when it does end up on a shelf, they're going, oh, finally.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, what's this?
Yes, yeah. You want people to grab because they've seen it and they've been desperate to get it in their Sainsbury's.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on Getting to Grow. I've learned so much about you guys and it's been such a fun chat, so massive thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.